The time is precisely 6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Chandima Veerakorn. Headlines. Egypt extends its unconditional support to Sri Lanka. China continues to provide COVID-19 vaccines to developing countries. Cabinet approves a proposal to conduct the 55th annual summit of the Asian Development Bank in Sri Lanka. Government is to launch several projects under the President's Irrigation Prosperity Policy. In foreign news, White House says Biden will not accept a scaled-down COVID-19 bill. In sports news, Tokyo 2020 President says Olympic Games will go ahead regardless of pandemic situation. Local stories in detail. The Egyptian government has extended its staunch and unconditional support to the dignity, independence, sovereignty and the unity of the Sri Lankan nation in the face of mounting internal and external pressures. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said this extending his greetings on the occasion of Sri Lanka's 73rd independence anniversary. The president said he takes the opportunity to express his appreciation of the bilateral relations binding the two friendly countries and look forward to promoting them in all domains for the best interest of people in both the countries. A foreign ministry spokesman said China will continue to provide COVID-19 vaccines to other countries, especially the developing ones. Spokesperson Wang Wenbin made the remarks yesterday at a daily press briefing after announcing that China donated COVID-19 vaccines to Pakistan yesterday morning, the first shipment of China's vaccine aid to other countries. Wang said China would contribute to achieving the accessibility and affordability of vaccines in developing countries. Besides Pakistan, China is also providing vaccine aid to 13 developing countries, including Sri Lanka, with 38 more developing countries in need slated to receive China's vaccine aid at a later stage. The Cabinet of Ministers has granted the approval for a proposal to conduct the 55th annual summit of the Asian Development Bank in Sri Lanka. Nearly 3,000 to 4,000 participants will be attending the summit, including more than 30 finance ministers from member countries, governors of central banks, executive officers from major international banks and companies, local and foreign distinguished guests, and journalists. The proposed summit is to be held throughout 4 days from the 2nd and 5th of May 2022. Other applicable conferences and ceremonies parallel to the event are also expected to take place. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the resolution submitted by Prime Minister in his capacity as the Finance of Ministers to formulate the necessary actions to conduct the annual summit of the Asian Development Bank in May 2022 in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is expected to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Asian Development Bank. Minister of Irrigation Chamal Rajapaksa said that the government is to launch several projects under the President's Irrigation Prosperity Programme on 5th February. Speaking at a media briefing held at the Government Information Department yesterday, the minister said that the program is to be carried out with the support of the Minister of Irrigation and other government institutions, including the Department of Agrarian Development and the Presidential Task Force. Minister Rajapaksa said the irrigation program is aimed at uplifting national food production and alleviating poverty through rapid development. He added that they expected to fulfill the drinking and irrigation water needs of nearly 1.5 million people in the northern and north-central provinces and complete the project within 4 years. He said that 5,000 tanks are to be developed under the program during the next 2 years. The funeral of Dr. Gayan Dantanarayana, who is the first doctor to pass away due to coronavirus infection in the country, was scheduled to be held this evening at the Daddalla Cemetery in Galle. His wife, who came to the Judicial Medical Office of the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital, consented to cremate the body after paying her last respects. She has also recovered from the virus and came to pay the last respects following health protective measures while under quarantine at home. The post-mortem has revealed that long-term diabetes, high blood pressure and pneumonia have led to his death. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with the local stories, Foreign Secretary Admiral Professor Jayanath Kalambage addressed a networking meeting recently at the Lakshman Kadiragama Institute, taking forward Sri Lanka's leadership role in the Indian Ocean Rim Association Working Group on Maritime Safety and Security. Addressing the gathering, Foreign Secretary elaborated that as a part of the overall responsibilities of heading the Indian Ocean Rim Association Working Group on Maritime Safety and Security, Sri Lanka has committed to bring together like-minded persons working on maritime safety and security-related issues in order to organize a series of workshops and seminars on maritime safety and security locally and regionally, looking at how Sri Lanka can benefit from and contribute to regional cooperation on maritime safety and security. It has been decided to establish diplomatic relations between Sri Lanka and the Principality of Liechtenstein. The Cabinet memorandum on this proposal submitted by Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena has received the approval of the Cabinet of Ministers. The Principality of Liechtenstein is a country with a small population situated between Switzerland and Austria and belongs to the Western Europe region. Director Tourism Planning and Development of Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, Dr. Prasad Jayasuriya, says that there is no minimum number of days required to stay by foreign tourists. He said that no restrictive quarantine is needed. Travellers are permitted to explore the facilities of the hotel. He said they can stay in any number of Level 1 safe and secure hotels during the first 14 days of their stay. Dr. Jayasuriya said that during the initial 14 days of their stay, the authority will create a bio-bubble for them to visit multiple sites in Sri Lanka. The 99th Ratana Sutra chanting organised by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation takes place this evening near the Kaluthara Bodhiya. It will be broadcast at 6:30 p.m. over SLBC Sinhala Commercial Service, City FM and regional services. Minister Dallas Alaperuma says that pensions for 1 year can be paid by the cost incurred for fossil fuel to generate electricity for 1 year. During the meeting yesterday in Matara, he said that 300 billion rupees have been spent annually for fossil fuel. The minister said the aim of his ministry is to reduce the cost for fossil fuel to 5% by 2025. The U.S. ambassador in Sri Lanka, Alaina B. Teplitz, had met Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The ministry said they discussed many bilateral and economic issues important to the two countries. Colombo Magistrates Court today issued an open warrant to arrest an infamous drug dealer named Dalugada Arachige Rajitha Asanka, who operates under the alias Badovita Loku. He has been named as the 19th suspect in the case filed against several officers of Police Narcotics Bureau over their alleged links to drug trafficking. The open warrant was issued by Colombo Chief Magistrate Mohammed Mihal after taking into account the request made by the officers of Criminal Investigation Department. The CID said that the suspects had obtained stocks of narcotics from the PNB officers. They said the suspect has fled to a foreign country and sought an open warrant to take him into custody. To end the local news, the headlines again. Egypt extends its unconditional support to Sri Lanka. China continues to provide COVID-19 vaccines to developing countries. Cabinet approves a proposal to conduct the 55th annual summit of the Asian Development Bank in Sri Lanka. Government is to launch several projects under the President's Irrigation Prosperity Policy. That ends local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
On the main news story, religious observances in connection with the 73rd Independence Day of Sri Lanka will commence today. Accordingly, an all-night Pirit chanting will be held tonight at Independence Square in Colombo. An almsgiving will take place tomorrow morning at Sri Lanka Vidyalaya Mahapirivan Temple in Colombo 10. Religious practices in Independence Day will be held at Abhyarama Temple at Narayanpita in Colombo 5. Hindu religious observances will be held at New Kadireshan Kovil and Islam religious practices at Majmailal Kairan Juma Mosque in Bambalapitiya. Catholic prayer services will be held at All Saints Church in Borella. Christian prayer service will be held at Methodist Church in Vallavatta. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Moving on to Watchlight, the newly elected office bearers of the Sri Lanka Foreign Service Association met the Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena yesterday at the Ministers' Bureau of the Foreign Ministry. A number of key areas, including the ways in which they can contribute to the development process of the country and the key challenges faced by the Sri Lanka Foreign Service officers, have been discussed during this meeting. President of the association, Vishwanatha Ponsu, highlighted key areas that the Foreign Service can actively involve in the context of generating the goodwill among the Sri Lankans residing overseas and thereby solicit their support to the development of the country. That ends Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always. All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Headlines of the world news. White House says Biden will not accept a scaled-down COVID-19 bill. Northern Irish Unionists call for calm after EU's insensitive act. 3 killed in wave of bomb attacks in Afghanistan. After meeting with Republican senators at the White House today, President Joe Biden appeared poised to push forward with his $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief plan, even if it fails to draw Republican support. While the White House termed Biden's discussion with 10 Republicans who pitched a downsized relief effort as productive, the Democratic president told the senators their plan did not go far enough. A senior Northern Irish unionist called today for calm after a local council withdrew port staff over concerns for their safety, and the European Union acted insensitively to try to prevent vaccine exports through the Irish border. Many pro-British unionists fiercely oppose the new trade barriers introduced between Northern Ireland and the rest of the United Kingdom as part of the Northern Ireland Protocol, a standalone deal for the region after Britain left the EU. At least 3 people were killed and 7 wounded in a series of explosions in Afghanistan today after Western countries called on the Taliban to end a wave of violence that the group denies responsibility for. With Washington and NATO reviewing plans to withdraw their forces from the country by May, one blast in Kabul hit an SUV and killed 2 people, including Mohammed Atif, the head of non-governmental charity Jamiat-i-Islah, police in the capital said. To end the world news, the headlines again. White House says Biden will not accept a scaled-down COVID-19 bill. Northern Irish unionists call for calm after EU's insensitive act. 3 killed in wave of bomb attacks in Afghanistan. That ends World News.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always. All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
On to development news. The government today approved the manufacturing of 100 carriages with private sector participation. Addressing the media briefing at the Information Department, the Cabinet spokesman said the number of railway passenger carriages would be increased to around 800 over the next 5 years. He said the existing carriages are relatively old, as 30% are in service for 30 years, 60% are 25 to 30, while 10% have been in service for 12 years or less. That ends development news. On to sports news. Olympics. Tokyo 2020 President Yoshiro Mori said today that Japan would hold the Summer Olympics regardless of the situation with the COVID-19 pandemic and was working closely with the International Olympic Committee to make them happen. He said they will hold the Olympics regardless of how the coronavirus situation looks, adding that the discussion should focus on how, not whether, the Olympics will happen. And in tennis news, Novak Djokovic kicked off his season in style with a 7-5 win over Canadian talent Denis Shapovalov in his favourite Rod Laver Arena court today before returning to lead Serbia to a doubles victory that sealed their ATP Cup opener 2-1. Leading Serbia's title defence in the team-based event, Djokovic was thrilled with his form in the Group A clash. Meanwhile, Naomi Osaka stepped up her preparations for the Australian Open by powering past Alizé Cornet 62-62 to reach the last 16 of the Gippsland Trophy warm-up tournament in Melbourne today. That ends sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
On business news, women entrepreneurs in South Asia stress the need for improved regional integration to support their businesses so that the existing potential for cross-border trade can be realized in a more effective manner. The representatives of female entrepreneurs from Sri Lanka, Pakistan and India via a platform presented by the World Bank said that women-led businesses continue to face challenges despite the repeated highlighting of issues and the global pandemic only worsened their woes. That ends business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Hello, Puta. Did you land already?
We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy.
Calm down, everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge.
LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
On economic news, the decline observed in the credit card spending as measured through the outstanding credit card balance continued through November 2020 as spending options exhausted with the returning of restrictions on mobility and other leisure and entertainment activities. According to the data available through November, the total outstanding credit card balance in the licensed commercial banking sector declined to 114.13 billion rupees from 115.64 billion rupees by end of October.
Congratulations on your promotion. Heard you gave a treat for everyone in your department yesterday.
Yeah.
When will be our treat, huh?
Well, how about today?
Oh no, I was just joking. We'll have a party with your new salary.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
And finally, on the weather report, the Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in northern, north-central, eastern and Uva provinces and in Matale and Nuwara Eliya districts. Fairly heavy falls, about 50 millimetres, can be expected at some places in Uva province and in Matale and Nuwara Eliya districts. Fairly strong gusty winds up to 50 kilometres per hour can be expected in northern, north-central and eastern provinces and in the eastern slopes of central hills. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in western and Sabaragamu provinces and in Galle and Matra districts. Misty conditions can be expected in western, central, Sabaragamu and southern provinces during the morning. To end this bulletin of news, the headlines again. Egypt extends its unconditional support to Sri Lanka. China continues to provide COVID-19 vaccine to developing countries. Cabinet approves a proposal to conduct the 55th annual summit of the Asian Development Bank in Sri Lanka. Government is to launch several projects under the President's Irrigation Prosperity Policy. In foreign news, White House says Biden will not accept a scaled-down COVID-19 bill. In sports, Tokyo 2020 president says Olympic Games will go ahead regardless of pandemic situation. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.